Hello everyone, I am Mahmudul and my thesis topic is barriers and success factors for implementation and adoption of healthcare information systems in developing countries, a systematic literature review. So, why this topic? So, developed countries are making the best use of information system in healthcare, whereas developing countries is still struggling with the implementing healthcare information system in the health sector. So, healthcare information system implementation is a very complex matter, and its success depends on various factors. And this area requires more research and ongoing feedback to help the developing countries progress towards the success. So that's why I chose this topic. Research objective. The objective of this research is to determine the existing barriers in adopting and implementing successful hospital information system in developing countries. And also the objective of this research is to determine the success factors for HIS implementation in developing countries. Motivation. So the motivation for this thesis came from my personal interest, since I'm from a developing country. Research question. Throughout this thesis, two research questions will be answered, and first one is what barriers have been reported for successful health information system implementation in healthcare in developing countries, and the second one is what success factors have been reported for successful IS implementation and adoption in healthcare in developing countries. So related studies. In related studies, I have discussed about the diffusion of an innovation model, which is proposed by the Rogers, and it's a very popular model in IS research field. So basically, this model calculates the adoption rate of an innovation. Also, I have discussed in the related studies about technology, organization, and environment. It's called TUE framework. It's also a very popular framework in information system research area. So another popular model is DNM success model. It's called like Dillon and McLean IS success model, and this model is used for reporting IS effectiveness and success. Some researchers have used this model by considering a success model. So for my thesis, in the discussion section, I compared my results with DNM success model. So research method. So for this thesis, I used systematic literature review. It's a very popular and widely used in IS research area. And for conducting my literature review, systematic literature review, I used three databases. First one is IEEE Explore and Science Direct and EBSCO databases. And in order to get the primary studies, I used a search query to find out the primary studies. And search query is the combination of different kind of synonyms and phrase, and it's formulated from based on my research questions. So here you can see, like, I used different kind of phrase or like different kind of synonyms. For example, I use information systems or information technology or ICT, and I add them using an operator, adoption and operator. And basically, I use this research search query for my thesis. Study selection process. So after formulating the search query, after formulating the search query, I performed a search on my selected databases, and in the first phase, I got around 4,000 studies. And the number is 4,014 studies, and then I conducted with my supervisor, and we took the decision, like we took only those paper which was published between 2017 and 2019. And after refine the search based on my based by the year, I had 729 studies, and then I exclude the paper which based on like exclude the papers which is magazines and books, chapters and courses. Then I had 622 articles. Then I remove the duplicates. I remove the papers which was not in English. Then I exclude the papers. Okay, after remove the articles which was not English, I had 618 studies. Then I exclude the papers based on the title and abstract. So after that phase, I had 67 studies, and then I remove the paper which was not full text available, and then I exclude the paper based on full text and quality assessment. And finally, I had 19 studies. So these 19 studies I took into the account to in order to answer my research question. So I had some inclusion and exclusion criteria in order to select my primary studies, and applied this inclusion and exclusion criteria during selecting my primary studies. So I include the papers which focused on information system adoption or implementation in developing countries, and but the article which talked in general about in health information system adoption or implementation. And I took those paper which was published, which was journal and conference paper. Exclusion criteria. So I exclude the paper which did not address information system in developing countries in healthcare, and the article which did not address information system, which addressed information system in developed countries in healthcare, and publication is part of magazines, books, chapters, training materials was also excluded. Results. So after careful review of my primary studies, I found 24 barriers and organized them into 6 categories. And also I found 19 success factors, and I also organized those 19 success factors into 4 categories. So here is the barriers. So as I told, I organize those 24 4 barriers into 6 categories. These are the categories. First category is education, training and awareness. Under this category there are 4 barriers. And the second category is infrastructure, and third one is financial supports, and lack of system quality, culture and political issues also hampering the healthcare information system implementation, resistance and resistant and support unwillingness, also the responsible for barriers as for the successful IS implementation, healthcare implementation. So you may have one question like, what does this number means? This number means like how many studies talked about this category. So like 7 categories out of 19 primary studies have talked about this category. Like this category is hampering the IS implementation in developing hampering healthcare information system implementation in developing countries. Well, you might have another question like, what does this percentage means, or like how it defined? Okay, the percentage defined with this formula. This is a general formula to calculate the percentage. Here n means how many number of studies talked about this category. So for this category, for the first category, the number of the value of n is 7, since 7 number of studies talked about this category. And also then it was multiplied with 100, and then the result was divided by total number of primary studies. So it's a constant value. It was 90. So this is this way I define the percentage. Well, success factors, and I found 19 success factors and categorized them into four categories. First category is utilization of resource and monetary factors, culture and political issues, education, training and awareness, and system quality. And this kind of categories or this kind of factors may have positive influence, or like may influence the adoption rate in healthcare in developing countries. So, discussion. Well, after analyzing the results, that I can say that a successful health information system implementation in healthcare in developing countries, it seems to be harder to implement than people expect. There are three main reasons: lack of infrastructure, lack of funding, and lack of awareness. And also, political instability is the huge, and it has very negative effect in order to implement a successful information system in healthcare. So, and executing the proper plan in developing countries maybe yeah, would become difficult due to the political instability and the corruption and the overpopulation. So, if these political issues or like corruption cannot be stopped, if it cannot be stopped, then it would be very difficult to implement successful SIS implementation in developing countries. And also need after analyzing the results, I can say like SIS implementation and in developing countries cannot be solved within a short period, and it will need like proper planning and proper use of resources for developing countries, especially for the developing countries. Affordability of the system may have very positive influence for the management to install SS for their organization. So and yeah, that's all. And future research. For the future research, actually, this study was conducted based on the systematic literature, based on the literature review. For a future study, empirical research is needed to test and validate the findings of research. And for future research, I would suggest like conducting survey on failure rate of research in a specific developing country. So yeah, there's the future. There's the suggestion for my future research. And thank you everybody for your concentration. And if you have any question, then you can ask. I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you.